Hi, I'm Galel Fajardo, high performance business coach, and today I'm going to be talking to you about influence in 2026. Dr. Robert Cialdini's principles of ethical influence in action. All right. Now you got to promise me you're only going to use this for good stuff. Okay. Don't be using it to do anything bad. You got to promise me that. Now, why does this even matter today? The reason it matters is because we're in an age of information overload. We've got so much information at our fingertips with ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Gemini, all the different AI platforms, the internet, Google, you name it. We've got tons of information. And because of that, people are getting inundated with so much data on a regular basis. In fact, in the United States, the average person, this is according to a USC study, University of Southern California, people are receiving 5,000 marketing messages per day. That is a hell of a lot of information for people to be getting. So we've got to be able to cut through that noise and be able to help build trust. And these are 6 principles on how to do that. All right. So ethical influence is going to be your competitive advantage in 2026. People say we're in this trust recession, all this stuff. The fact of the matter is people are just very skeptical. Is a video AI? Is it a real person? Is it faked voice? Did somebody actually write it, or was it just AI being used? You name it. People have questions. And if you can apply these principles, it's going to help you win the influence game. All right. It's going to be able to help you be more competitive. Now, these are the 6 principles. Okay. The 6 principles are: first, reciprocity. Give first, receive later. The second is commitment and consistency. That small yeses lead to big yeses. Third is scarcity. That's that limited availability increases desire. Fourth is authority, where expertise opens doors. Fifth is liking. People buy from those they like. And the last principle is social proof, that others will validate your value. Now, understanding these principles is a difference between you begging for business and attracting it. And I think if you're watching this, you want to attract business. You don't want to be begging for it. So let's talk about the first principle, that's reciprocity. And that is, people feel obligated to give back to those who give to them first. So here is a beautiful Christmas card, a beautiful family, the Woodrum family, Daniel and Brittany, 2 dear friends of mine. And I want you to think back to Christmas time, when people are sending out Christmas cards. Was there anybody who wasn't on your Christmas card list that sent you a card? And if so, what did you do? You took their return address label and you made sure to send them another one, right? It's a perfect example of the principle of reciprocity at work, okay? This is science, okay? This reciprocity rule, it's hardwired into our human psychology. When someone gives us something, we feel psychologically indebted to them, right? Our brains, they release oxytocin. This is the bonding hormone that you feel when you hug somebody that you love. Those warm and fuzzy feelings is caused and created by oxytocin. And what happens to us is that we feel compelled to balance the scale. So you give to somebody, they feel psychologically compelled to give back. Now, people will oftentimes give back even more than they received, okay? So, if we've seen it in studies where in the book, Influence by Dr. Cialdini, he gives different examples throughout history where countries helped out another country during a time in need. And what did they do? They reciprocated, sometimes even more, to pay back that old psychological debt that other country felt from receiving aid when they needed it. Now, let's talk about this restaurant experiment. I found this absolutely fascinating, where servers, when they give the check, right, and they leave 1 mint for each person, right? So let's say there's 2 people dining, they give each of them a mint. What happens? They get a 3% increase in their tip. Now, if they leave 2 for each, they receive a 14% tip increase. But when the server left the check, left 1 mint for each person, turned around, started to walk away, and comes back and says, actually, you know what? You guys are special. Here's an extra one, and leaves an extra mint there. What was the increase? 23% increase in tips just by doing that, right? Reciprocity is real, and I want you to leverage this when it comes to your sales and your marketing. Okay, so how do we apply this? I want you to think about, what valuable content is it that you're giving away? How easy is it to access your free stuff? And is your free stuff actually useful? And do you give without immediate expectation? I want you to be thinking about that, okay? Because this is a very powerful principle to apply. Next is the principle of commitment and consistency. So once we choose to take a stand, we feel the pressure to behave consistently with that commitment. So humans, you have to understand, we are desperately consistent with our self-image. So how we view ourselves is how we're going to act, which is why it's so important to make sure you have the right mindset in place. Because if you have a great mindset, strong mindset, you're going to act with that self-image. If you look at yourself poorly and have a poor self-image, guess what you're going to do? You're going to treat yourself like crap, right? And you're going to eat poorly, you're going to go to sleep late, and you're not going to take care of yourself. And so we are desperately consistent with our self-image. And so as a result, when somebody takes a small action that coincides with that feeling, they begin to see themselves differently, right? I'm the type of person who ... right? Their future decisions align with this new identity. And so leverage that in your marketing as you're posturing and positioning things. So for example, here I have an example of somebody who is maybe selling weight loss services, or they're a fitness trainer, right? So instead of asking, do you want to be healthier? Instead, what you're going to do is you're going to ask the person, are you the type of person who values their health? Now, if they say no, well, then you've lost them. But if they're the type of person who does value their health, that means that they're going to take the actions in line with the person who values their health. So are you the type of person who values their health? They say yes. Fantastic. Then as somebody who values their health, does that mean you're willing to invest the energy and the time necessary in order to get the health that you want? Right? That second question I have listed here, it creates identity. Identity then drives commitment. And when somebody has made that commitment, it drives consistency. So you want to make sure to take advantage of that, leverage those questions to get somebody to take action in line with what commitment they have made. And so basically, just understanding that these small yeses add up to big yeses. So a simple way is engage with social content, right? Somebody likes your post, follows you on social media. That's a yes, right? Then next, joining your email list, or maybe if you have a private community. Next is going and consuming some free valuable content that you have. Or then the next step, potentially completing a quiz or assessment. Then 5 is, maybe doing a strategy call or a consultation. And then ultimately number 6, purchasing a high ticket offer. This is what we call the commitment ladder. A critical error that people make is they expect people to go from step 1 to step 6, right? So they engage with social content. It's like, you want to buy my stuff? Like, people aren't going to do that. Okay, so don't make that critical error of going from step 1 to step 6. Instead, what you want to do, create a very clear path where each small yes makes the next one easier. So for example, I'm going to ask you to join my email list. Go to galel.com, Galel.com, get on my email list, get my coaching to your inbox. It's where I'm going to give you additional information, and you're going to learn from me. You're going to say, this Galel guy, like, either you're going to fall into one of 3 categories. One, you're going to be like, this guy's full of crap and I don't want to deal with him. So what will you do? You'll unsubscribe. You'll be like, this guy makes some sense, but I'm not ready to work with him at this point. No problem. Keep getting the emails. Or thirdly, you're going to say, oh my gosh, this guy knows his stuff and I want to work with him. Right? So you're going to fall into one of those 3 categories. I want you to do that for your clients, for your potential customers, for your audience. Make that clear path where each small yes makes the next one easier. So you, by watching this much into my video right now, you've already given me several minutes of your trust. That's a yes, right? Then by taking the next step of getting on my email list so I can give you more coaching, helps you get to another yes, right? And then hopefully, if you are the right fit, eventually you'll go and say, hey, let's book a call and let's talk to see if your coaching or consulting would make sense for me, right? This is all part of the influence process. Every single commitment that I described to you creates consistency momentum, right? It's yes, 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 yes. It's creating that momentum where you are then consistent on those actions. So how do we apply this in your business? Number 1, I want you asking yourself, what are the questions that you're asking in your marketing content? Are you asking for a small yes before you ask for a big one? And I want you to leverage identity-based language, right? So complete this sentence, right? I want to be the type of person who blank, right? I want to be the type of person who values their health, right? If you're selling fitness services, health services, you own a gym, like that's the type of thing right there. If you're offering financial services, I want to be the type of person who, protects their finances, right? You want to get people to commit to being that person, stepping into that identity so their actions are in line with it. Next, the third principle is social proof. We determine what is correct by finding out what other people think is correct. This is just the way that we do things, right? How often have you gone to purchase something and then you go and ask somebody, hey, do you know so-and-so? Do you know who they are? We do it all the time where we will go and ask for recommendations from people. Hey, I'm about to go buy this. Have you tried it? What was your experience with this? We are social beings, and so we ask for that type of feedback. But not all social proof is created equal. Okay, there is a hierarchy of social proof. So tier one, most helpful, very specific, detailed testimonials with results, right? So I have a client, Bob Ferguson. Bob Ferguson started his company and they stayed steady at about $2.5 million a year. He started working with me, started working with some other coaches. And what happened? His income started to go up. His revenue started to go up. Working with myself and Craig Ballantyne, Daniel Woodrum, Gavin McHale, his income went up to $5.5 million, $7.5 million, and last year, $10.1 million, right? That is a specific detailed testimonial with actual results. Watching Bob on video talk about how great our coaching team is, that is going to help give you, that's going to be the most helpful social proof. Same thing with case studies with specific metrics. So I want you to evaluate the type of social proof that you're leveraging in your marketing to make sure that you are actually putting this stuff into practice, because this will be most helpful. Next, that's strong, is third-party review sites. So like looking at Google reviews, Yelp reviews, Trustpilot, right? Looking at the number of customers or clients serviced, media mentions or publications. This is strong and this will still help. Not as good as tier one, but still very good. And then next we go to tier three, and that is helpful. Helpful is going to be social media follower counts, right? Anytime you look at somebody with the blue check mark, it's like, okay, maybe they're credible, but ever since Meta made it easy just for people to buy the blue check mark, it's a little bit less valuable, so to speak. So people will look at follower counts and like, oh, okay, they got 1 million followers, they must be legit. You can buy followers, which I do not recommend, by the way. And so that, doesn't always jive for some people. For me, I don't look at follower counts, doesn't mean as much to me, but for some people it might. Industry certifications. So like, okay, you're in the financial services industry. You are a CFP, you have the designation of Certified Financial Planner. If you're looking for a financial planner, then maybe that's going to sway you one way or another. And then another one is awards and recognition. Specificity beats generality. So instead of saying like clients love us, you want to say John lost 15 pounds in 12 weeks, right? Like be specific when you are utilizing social proof. Like I don't say, somebody made, like I had a client who had a record month in December, and instead of saying that she made over $60,000, or that she made over, instead of saying, oh, she made over $60,000, I said she made $64,100, right? And it was like that and some change, right? But the more specific, the more believable it is, right? So her amount that she made was $64,000. That is very specific, and it's more believable when you have a specific number versus saying over 60K. So how do you apply this in your business? Well, first off, I want you to think about where in your sales process do you request testimonials, right? Is the process automated? Does your social proof match your industry? And are you capturing images and videos of events or places that you're at to be able to show people that you're actually out and about doing your work, right? This is very important, and it's something that a lot of people miss. Next is principle number 4, and that is liking, right? We prefer to say yes to people who we like. It's a fact, right? We want to do business with people that we like. And so the liking formula, right, there's a few different elements to this. First is similarity, where you say they're like me, and that could be shared backgrounds, shared values, shared experiences. So how can you showcase that in your marketing? I think it's important for you to figure that out. How can you show that you're like certain people? Or how are you like your ideal client? Did you have a story like them? Were you once in their shoes? And then now they can look at you and go, oh, that person was in my shoes. Look at them today. I want to be like them. Number 2 is compliments. This is genuine praise and appreciation, not just flattering people, right? But like genuinely like praising people for what they're doing, their effort, for even talking to you, for saying that they're having a difficult time and looking for assistance. This is going to help people actually like you, is giving them genuine compliments. If you don't have a genuine compliment, do not give it. Number 3 is cooperation. That's working together towards shared goals. Okay. And so this is where, if you have a certain goal that you want to reach, somebody else has a certain goal, and you share that openly, right? So like for me, one of my areas of likability that I've been told from other folks is that they can appreciate that I'm trying to raise good, well-adjusted children in this world. And I show it in my social media content by talking about, showing videos of me going out with my daughter, going out with my son, and people genuinely like that I'm trying to raise good kids, right? I'm trying to build a good relationship with them. That helps lead to liking. So I want you to figure out how you can apply this in your business. And 4th is familiarity, right? When we see repeated positive exposure over time, that breeds to familiarity, and that leads to liking. Okay, so look at these 4 things: similarity, compliments, cooperation, familiarity. See how you can incorporate these into your marketing. Principle 5 is authority. People follow the lead of credible, knowledgeable experts. Okay, so again, these are some ways that you can build authority with credentials. So do you have degrees? Do you have awards that you have won that you can share? Do you have expertise? So this is like educational content. These are trainings. This is what I'm doing with you right now, right? I am not only leveraging reciprocity, hopefully the liking element, but also when it comes to building authority, right? Because I am showcasing my expertise as a business coach, as a fractional chief marketing officer, that I'm showing you my expertise and how I've been able to install these into not only my businesses, but those of my clients. And 3rd is social proof of authority. So that's, testimonials that people give, interviews that people have given, association with other authorities. So me posing in pictures with Craig Ballantyne, with him as one of my friends, mentors, and coaches, helps give me some authority, right? Because we're associated, we're together, right? Maybe companies that you've done work for, right? Those are all things that help build that social proof of authority. So I want you to think about it. Like, can you tie a recognizable name in the circle that you're working in to what you do? Is there a big company that people in your business, in your industry, would recognize that if you had on your client list would say, oh, this person is legit? So I want you to think about that. Use large and specific numbers whenever possible, right? So I shared my client, Bob Ferguson, at $10.1 million in revenue in 2025. That's a large number, very specific number, right? Shows that like, hey, I work with clients that make, a fraction of that, and then clients that are generating millions of dollars, right? Like, use those large and specific numbers anywhere possible. And then this framework I like, where we've helped customers achieve X results in Y time. Like, this is something that is very, again, you want to be specific. You don't want to say somebody lost 100 pounds in 6 weeks. That's unbelievable. That's totally not believable. But if you say they lost 96 pounds in 14 months, now it's a lot more believable, right? So be specific about that and use that formula. And do you film all your speaking events? Again, this is important. When you're up on a stage, when you're on a platform, people are more likely to trust you, and you build that authority when you are up on a stage and people are there taking notes and listening to you. All of this matters. The last principle is scarcity, right? People value opportunities more when they are less available. So humans, you got to understand, we are wired for loss aversion. We care more about losing out or missing out on something than we do about gaining something. We are wired for loss aversion. So we want to be able to leverage this principle ethically. We feel, as humans, we feel the pain of losing something 2 times more than the pleasure of gaining it. And scarcity, what that does is it activates our FOMO, right? Our fear of missing out. And when something is limited in availability, it gives us this increased perceived value. So let's talk about the cookie experiment, okay? The cookie experiment, or the cookie jar study, involved 3 different cookie jars. So each person in this study was asked to taste test 3 different cookies. They were in 3 different jars. Cookie jar A is one that was filled with 10 cookies. So they open it up, take it, they eat it, and then they rate it on a scale from 1 to 10. Then condition B, right, or cookie jar B, was a jar where there was only 2 cookies left. And so then they tasted that, and then they rated it, the cookie, the taste of it. Condition C, cookie jar C, was sudden scarcity. So they'd have 10 cookies in the jar. The person conducting the study opened it up and pulled out 8 cookies and said, sorry, before you take that, I have to take these 8 because other participants need them. And all of a sudden, there were only 2 cookies left in the jar. So then out of those 2 that were left, the participants took the cookie, tried it, and then rated it. Now, which cookie jar do you think contained the best tasting cookies in the perception of the attendees? If you probably guessed it already, it was condition C, the one where there was sudden scarcity. Now, here's the crazy thing that you've already probably guessed, that all 3 cookie jars contained the same exact chocolate chip cookies and same exact formula, recipe that were made. They all tasted exactly the same, but in the perception of the person who was in the study, the sudden scarcity made the cookie taste better because it was suddenly scarce. So I want you to think about how you apply this in your business. So how do you implement legit scarcity? Well, if you're service-based, you're going to limit your monthly client intake, right? Like for me as a coach, I can't take on an infinite number of clients. There's only so many hours I have on a weekly basis. What that does, it helps protect your quality, right? Maybe it's creating VIP intensives where it's limited dates that you're available for certain VIP events, or creating bonus packages that will expire. If you are product-based, maybe it's setting pre-order windows with production limits, right? You can only buy them for a limited amount of time. And then maybe if you have like consumable goods, or, you have stuff direct to consumer where you have seasonal exclusive flavors or designs, like Starbucks does, for example, during the holidays. People want to go and get that peppermint hot mocha or hot cocoa, right? That is seasonal exclusive. Those are ways of creating scarcity. So again, make scarcity real, because your calendar is limited. Your attention is finite. So make sure you leverage this principle and you showcase that in your marketing. So as a recap here, right? Information overload means an increased reliance on shortcuts. As a result of that, right? AI algorithms and media, that means that there's going to be a reliance on influence. So people are going to be trying to go, like, where do I go to find out the truth? And so they're going to be looking at social proof. They're going to be looking at authority, all these different elements of influence they're going to rely on because of this wealth of information that's available. As a result of that, ethical influence is going to increase, right? We're going to need to rely on that as trust goes down. So make sure you take advantage of that and leverage ethical influence. So now your action step today, choose one principle of influence to leverage in your business today. Go figure out which element you're going to use and apply it in your business today. Leave me a comment and tell me which one you want to leverage in your business. And I'm happy to provide you any advice, any tips on that. Please go to galel.com if you've enjoyed this content, and I will be sending out more information, more coaching tips to help you grow and scale your business without burning out, work less, spend more time with your family, and build a business that you truly enjoy working in. I've been Galel Fajardo, high performance business coach, and I'll see you next time.